Imagine when someone uses the AI with the intention of really radicalizing the people. We see the examples of it right now with the recent elections in some European countries, or with elections, past elections in the US, where AI was really used to manipulate. They are actually biased because the data they are being fed come from human beings. Two years ago, Replica was a virtual assistant that people used for, I don't know, like dating or even sexting.
Welcome to Beat Sexism Talks Innovation Series, a podcast where I talk about technology, AI, and society, and how it all intersects. Today, I will be digging deeper into the topic of AI and emotions, topic which is really complex if we consider that not even humans can understand emotion properly. Today with me in the studio is Michal Bída, an AI expert, which I'm really privileged to have here with me, as he has years of research into intelligence and emotions. Michal, I was thinking before we even dive deeper into AI emotions, we should perhaps understand better emotions in itself, because it's such a big and broad topic. So let's give it some base. How do you understand emotions?
Yeah, that's an excellent question because emotions is really a very broad topic. Like there are hundreds of different theories of emotions from psychologists, and they often differ, and it completely makes sense because these theories look at the emotions from different perspectives. For example, you have social theories of emotions. For example, Ekman has a theory of emotions based on the human faces, of expression of emotions in human faces. And it makes perfect sense to understand the emotions like this because we humans use emotions as a means for better social interaction. And Ekman actually created a whole company that aims on recognizing the emotions from people's faces. And he is quite a successful researcher. And a businessman. But that's not all there is to emotions, because you can view the emotions also from more evolutionary point of view, because it turns out animals have emotions as well. Why do they have emotions? Well, if you are a zebra and you are drinking from a pond in a desert, and suddenly a lion jumps out of the bushes, you don't have time to deliberate whether to start running or not. You need to be running in order to survive. And the emotions, it's exactly this mechanism that will help you to react fast and intelligently to the event that occurs. And when we go even like further, even very simple animals like nematodes, that basically they just steer, in the water, and they can steer towards food, but they also can steer away the predators and hot water and stuff like that. And we wouldn't call that an emotion, but you can already see some like basic prototypes, like that nematode is steering towards something, so he wants it. He steers away from something, he hates it, and maybe these simple behaviors are the prototype, the basic ingredient that led then to evolving of this more complex mechanism that we call emotions right now. Yeah.
So when you talk about emotions, it feels very impulsive, not so calculated. And then comes AI, which is very calculated, rational. And then there's the intersection between emotions and artificial intelligence. So what really fascinates you about AI trying to mimic sort of human emotions, which are quite impulsive?
Yeah, I would start maybe with whether the emotions are impulsive or rational or stuff like that, because the general view of the emotions is exactly this, like they are impulsive, they are irrational and stuff like that. However, it turns out that the emotions really help us to behave rationally in the current world. Emotions are a great filter of information. In these days, there is really a lot of information that are, perceived by human beings. And sometimes it's really hard to make decisions. For example, let's say you want to buy some stock on a stock market. There are thousands of information. You read it all. And then you make some decision. Based on what you do this decision? well, you have some feelings inside, like you feel, okay, I think that the Microsoft stocks are maybe going up or down or whatever, and maybe you will use this mechanism to make your decision. And actually, the emotions in this case serve you as this condensed information of all the information you actually read about Microsoft and other companies, and it helps you to make rational decisions. Actually, there are experiments with people who have damaged parts of brain that are like that are creating emotions in human beings, and it turns out these people are unable to do rational decisions in our world because they lack emotions. So for humans, emotions can be irrational for sure, but mostly we have them because they help us to actually make rational decisions. So that's my point about the rationality and irrationality. Now you asked about emotions and computer systems. So I can tell you that right now, and even like 5 or 10 years ago, the computer systems were really good when it comes to working with emotions. They don't have emotions as humans do, but they can work very effectively with emotions. Like, for example, our posts on Facebook or social networks, they are being analyzed by algorithms, and their emotional balance is being extracted, and the big companies are using it to, for example, get information about whether the new washing machine that was created is liked by people or not. The data analysis can go even further. Like you can see not only if the people like the washing machine, but what exactly they like about the washing machine, what they dislike. Maybe you can find out that actually the flushing does not work in the washing machine, the water is staying in the machine, and yeah, that's a problem, you can address it, and nobody needs to read the posts, you know, you have just some clever algorithm that does that. I talked about Ekman and his facial emotions. That's being done as well. If you have a cell phone, you can make a picture of yourself and you see the smile will be detected, right? That's absolutely like doable, and it's happening right now. And those are big topics that are being handled. Now, when it comes for computer systems to actually simulate emotions, that's not that common. Why? Well, because we don't need it that much right now. Like when you are making a computer game, for example, you would think, well, I want to make characters with emotions that are like human-like and stuff like that. Sure, but you don't need to create an explicit emotional model in the character. You only need a good mock-up, a good director that will tell how the scene should like proceed, and then some animators that will do that. You need the emotional impact on the human being. You don't need actually the characters to have emotions. There are some counter examples. For example, in the game Sims, there are characters with emotions. It makes perfect sense because Sims is a simulation of humans. So of course they put an emotional model, by the way, a well-thought emotional model based on some psychological theories inside the game, and it makes perfect sense. But this is not common. And usually even with computer games, you are not doing computer games with virtual characters with emotions, with explicit emotions.
So basically what you're trying to say is that emotions and AI is nothing new. It has been here, of course, in more, let's say, lesser programs like algorithms and recommendation systems. But now we're getting to the part where emotions are becoming more like part of the theme where we discuss manipulation, because part of a human trait is to misuse emotions, and that's why AI emotions are becoming such a broad topic now. So how do you perceive this? Because this is something that's very fascinating. Is this something we should be worried about if we allow those machines to understand human emotions?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think this already happened. The machines, the large language models definitely have some understanding of human emotions, at least from the practical point of view. Like they can reason about emotions and they can prepare, for example, texts that elicit emotions or somehow control the emotions of people that will read messages generated by the AI. That doesn't mean that the AI actually understands what the emotion actually is, or that the AI has its own emotions. That I don't think the current AI has emotions in the human sense of the word, not at all. But it can definitely work with the human emotions in an effective way. And even that we see in a very old recommendation algorithms, for example, on YouTube. If you remember, there was this big issue with Google recommendation algorithm that caused the algorithm to actually polarize the people more. How did this happen? Well, the algorithm had an easy and reasonable goal: show the user videos that the user likes. It sounds like a reasonable goal, and the algorithm learned to do exactly that. However, this led to algorithm showing to the person only videos that the person liked. For example, if you were a vegetarian, the algorithm learned that if it will start showing vegan videos, the vegetarian people would tend to click on them more because they were interested in it. You are vegetarian, and the veganism is even more strict, so you might be interested in that. You click that. So it kind of radicalized the people who were eating like a vegetarian to become vegan, for example. And this is maybe fine, but it turns out that it radicalized also other people with the different interests, not just the vegetarianism, but maybe violent people were being shown even more violent videos and stuff like that. And it really turned out that this is polarizing the human society, and it's polarizing the people. And I'm not sure if we really solved this issue. The algorithms are now better in this. They are trying occasionally to recommend also videos outside of your social bubble and stuff like that. However, I don't think we really solved this issue, and we see this every day. So yeah, it's a problem when we use AI, not just the large language models, but even the, let's say, old recommendation systems currently. It can lead to manipulation and to undesired effects. And the worst thing about this is that the programmers on YouTube, they didn't want this. They just wanted the algorithm to be good for people, to show them videos they like. They didn't want to radicalize society. Imagine when someone uses the AI with the intention of really radicalizing the people, then that can be really bad. So how to stop that? It's a good question. And we see the examples of it right now with the recent elections in some European countries, or with elections, past elections in the US, where AI was really used to manipulate large groups of people to vote for someone. So yeah, it's a problem. It should be regulated somehow, I believe. But it's really tough to do it right, I guess. And we will see how it will go.
Michal, I think large language models are such a benefit for our society. But now we're getting to the point where people assume that they're neutral. And my question to you, I guess, is whether we can really consider them as being neutral, or are they also biased in terms of emotions?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I would say they are definitely biased. Now, having said that, the big corporations that are developing these large language models, they are really trying to make them less biased or not biased at all, using different techniques. One of the most famous one is probably RLHF, which stands for Reinforcement Learning with Human Feedback. However, this works only partially. So now, why are they biased in the first place? They are actually biased because the data they are being fed come from human beings, and human beings are usually biased. They have some values, and when they write about something, those values are being projected in the text they write, and this is all fed in the large language models, and they learn it. And the problem is that it's not easy to take out the bias from the data, because what is even like biased data? How do you define that? That can be different from different people, right? So you cannot even define it well, like what are the biased data? Even if you could define it well, it's hard to get it out of the terabytes of textual data. That's not in the capabilities of normal human beings. So you just get it fed into the large language model that learns something. You then speak with the model. You find out, oh, okay, here it's biased. You use reinforcement learning with human feedback to get it out of the model. The model behaves better. But we actually found out that this technique is not bulletproof. You can still get biased data out of the models if you talk with them more. You can circumvent the reinforcement learning with human feedback. And you can also unlearn it completely and stuff like that. It's not like 100% secure. Yeah. So it's a problem. However, this problem is being worked on, and I hope it will get better in time.
You're saying that it's something that we are dealing with and taking care of it, but I think we're giving it too much power because it's learning from us on a daily basis. If we look at ChatGPT, etc., or other LLMs, are we giving them too much power, and how can it actually impact us negatively? Because we know the positive outcomes, right? But what can happen? What's the worst case scenario you can think of?
Yeah, like when it comes to the power we are giving to the LLMs, I think it's not that bad. Currently, the large language models are usually used as an assistant when a human does some task or something. So basically, the human is in control, which I think is desirable, is nice. And honestly, I hope it will stay this way for a long time yet, because I think that the place we want to get to is a place where we have a super intelligent advisor that will help us to do stuff we want to do, which would be nice, and which may be even possible. Now, with large language models learning every day, actually, we are maybe lucky because this is not the case as of yet. The large language models are trained in the batches. It takes months to train a big large language models. So usually what do? You gather data. You gather a lot of data. You have a large language models. People are speaking to it. You take the conversations. You somehow curate this data, and you use it to a next training of the large language model. But that training will take months. And then when you train the model, it's fixed and it doesn't learn anymore, which is actually a good thing right now, because it create some limits on what the large language model can actually learn and how fast it can evolve. So that's actually a good thing.
How about the ethical part of it? You know, we have developers, basically the God's creation of AI and all the LLMs. So when we talk about developers, is it legally regulated what they can do with user emotions that AI collects?
It actually is regulated thanks to GDPR, which is a European law that controls what can you do with the private data. Actually, it's funny because there even is one example of that occurred with a Replica like a year or two years ago. Replica was a virtual assistant that people used for I don't know, like dating or even sexting. They could use that assistant for sexting, and they really created some personas there that they liked to sext with. And that was all fine, but the way how this worked is that the persona needed the chat history with the user to actually being able to react properly and to create some kind of illusion of a real person. Now, Italy didn't like that because it used private data, GDPR, without the consent of the users. So they told the Replica, you can't do that. And the Replica told, okay, so they turned it off. What happened? Well, the users were furious because they lost their AI companions that they knew them, that they were used to interact with. And Yeah, like you can find a big threads on Reddit if you are interested in this about this occurrence and how the users reacted. So it's really funny. But the point is that this is regulated by the GDPR, and the companies cannot use these data without consent of us. In the ideal world.
I'm really glad that you're mentioning this ethical safeguard, because, and also the replica app, which now is banned, I assume.
I am actually not sure how it ended up with the replica. I think it still works, but texting is probably not there anymore.
Okay, so it's still an AI emotional companion.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
When we think about AI emotional companion, is it something that people are craving more as of late, more and more, or is it something that at the end of the day we will end up preferring still, you know, human touch and in-person meeting and not anything that is artificial? Yeah,
if I would go along with what my Facebook feed recommends me as an advertisement, I would have to say that it seems that we are moving towards these virtual companions, because even though I married, the Facebook for some reason wants me to meet my AI girlfriend, which is funny. However, I think it will have its audience for sure. I think it will even make some changes in our society, good or bad. It's hard to tell, because when you have a virtual companion, it can be a bad thing. Lonely people might not be that motivated to go outside. On the other hand, they can have some companion to help them overcome some bad times. A young adult may not be that motivated to date other people, but on the other hand, it can maybe learn how to date more reasonably with the AI companion, if the AI companion will be done right. So I see both, like I see pros and cons, and it's really hard to tell where it will end up, but it's really good to focus on this and study these kind of things.
I think it's really nice that we have touched upon some ethical dilemmas in this first part of the interview. And I'm really excited that in the next minutes we'll be able to dig even deeper with Michal on safeguards and on ethical implication that AI has, especially on emotions. And this is something that only our premium subscribers get to hear first, so you don't want to miss that out.
That you can make this kind of arithmetic, which is nice. However, you can see bias there already, because if you have a vector representation for the word doctor and you subtract man and you add women, you don't get doctor, you get a nurse. This can be really unpleasant for human beings living on Earth, actually. And the AI might not be even biased against human beings. Maybe it will just not care, like we are not taking care of ants, right? Like we know the ants live here, but when we are building new buildings, we are not concerned with ants.
So my question is, if we don't address AI security in terms of dominance, what's the worst case scenario that can happen?
Where is energy? In sun, there is a lot of energy. Okay, so the AI thinks, why not to build a big structure around the sun that will harness all the energy we can get. Great, so the AI will strip mine the Earth. So at the end, there will be no Earth, because all the material from Earth will be around sun.